19th of April. Yes, I've actually had to switch programs this morning. I tried doing it in Facebook, and Facebook, for those who do any live work in Facebook, they're trying to switch you to this new program, which I just personally don't like. Yeah, I just don't like. So I have switched now to the other program that I have been using, which I have been using when I have been talking to people with dual chats, and I'm just doing it as a single chat. So hopefully you guys are actually able to be here and I can see you, because that would be really good, because I can't see anybody at the minute. So hopefully you'll be able to be here and I can say hello and see how everybody is doing. And in fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to check. Oh, there we go. Oh, Shirley, you've saved my life. Thank you. Good morning to you too. So yeah, I'm a bit unprepared. Well, not unprepared. I've got a whole bunch of stuff prepared, but I've woken up this morning and not had my grumpy pants on, but I've been a bit feisty today. And usually I'm not feisty. Usually I'm actually quite mellow, but I've been a little bit feisty this morning. The dogs are driving me insane. So I've got one behind the chair, so I better not roll back or I'm going to run him over. The other one, yeah, it's warm this morning and it's like really warm. And so I've sort of kind of got the door open so I don't expire in here. Yeah, so I have got some stuff prepared, but I kind of thought what I might do is just see. Good morning, everyone. If there's any hot burning issues that you guys want to talk about or you want me to talk about, I'm going to throw it out to you now and let me know. And then if you don't, I'm going to launch into Plan B, which is what I had prepared, which is nowhere near as exciting, I don't think. But there you go. We can see. Hey, yesterday we caught up with Ethan yesterday with the Quarantine Diaries. And I have to say, Ethan and Deborah, I was there with me cup of coffee, my laptop, snuggled in bed with the bulldog. I was ready. I was primed for breakfast bourbons this morning. Midnight rums last night, huh? No breakfast bourbons over on the lair. Yes. So, but that's all right. We're allowed to do that. In fact, depending, and one of the things I'm actually planning to do, and I mean, I guess I won't know more until tomorrow's announcement, because let's face it, we're all waiting to see what is going to happen at 1 o'clock tomorrow. But definitely, regardless of whether we're still in level 4 or level 3, for me, that will mean that I am still much working at home. Sorry, you can hear my dog down here. Buddy, shh. I know my poor dog, bless him, with all this extra warm, hot weather, he's a bulldog, okay? And he's got a little hot spot right on the base of his tail, which means it's really itchy. And I've got cream on it. And if you know the anatomy of a bulldog, unlike other dogs, he can't reach past his shoulders to deal with it. So he sort of shuffles around and gets all very anxious. So yeah, there you go, you come down. Right, what was I saying? Regardless of what happens tomorrow, whether we're level 3 or level 4, I still work from home, so I will still be here in the she shed. So I will keep the Quarantine Diaries going while I'm still she shed bound, because I may as well. So I am working on getting some more people back on. I thank you very much, Glenys Pope from Marja Craft. I actually think Glenys needs to come on, and if everyone agrees with me, you tell Glenys right now that she does. But she has also sent me some contacts that she has, so I can contact them as well. So yeah, that would be really good. Solange is just saying that she saw the new Orb Fine colours. Yes, I got those loaded up the other day. Really, really delighted with those. If you haven't had a chance to check them out, actually I'll just pop that down, Orb Fine, so I can put that link into the comments for you. We've gone and taken some of the best-selling colours from the DK and actually moved them into Orb Fine, because Orb Fine before was all very sort of, they were very contemporary pastel, and we've gone and taken a few out that weren't selling as well, but we've also gone and tweaked a couple as well, and then we've gone and moved across some of the best sellers that were in DK across into Orb Fine. So a great example of that is Cottage Rose, which was one of the new Orb DK colours we launched last year, which has been unbelievably popular. So we've moved Cottage Rose over into fine. The other colour that was a massive, huge hit was Florence, which is that beautiful, rich, intense dark teal colour. So that has now gone into all fine. We've also introduced a new colour called Shiraz, which is actually, it's sort of like actually a grapey purple. And before you say, well, that doesn't look like Shiraz wine, and I know because I drink enough, but it was actually named for more for the colour of the grape, but also inspired by Shiraz, the place, which is, of course, in Iran, what was then Persia. Yeah, and the colours are lovely. And there's some more depth and intensity in those colours. So if you're wanting to do some colour work, you've got more differences now between lights and darks, which is what you didn't have before, other than, I think, Shale, which was a dark grey, and we had, did we have Rook in there? I don't even think we had Rook. There wasn't a lot of contrast. They were all sort of kind of these tonal, neutrally shades that were sort of all centered across, whereas now you've got some really good switches between sort of light grays and dark grays and whites and darks, and yeah, which for color work you need to have that contrast. So we've gone and done that. And also too, if you are wanting to make a design for yourself and it isn't a 4-ply or a fingering weight yarn, or even a sport weight, actually, orbs, you know, you can get away with, there's a bit of latitude there. Orb will give you that. There's some colours in there that are more, what I would call more grown up. Sprout is another one we've gone and pulled over into that range, and that's just because Sprout and Florence are like peas and carrots. They're just made in heaven, and they go so well together. So it just was crazy not to have the two of them there together. So yeah, thanks for that, Solange. Oh, everyone's very chatty this morning. This is good because I do have stuff prepared, but honestly, I think it will be great to see you. Sometime can you talk about yarn construction and about the picture good for a particular garment? Wendy, yes, and I'm going to put that on the list because the other thing I'm trying to do, Wendy, yarn construction, and I know I've talked about this before. But if any of you were over in the speakeasy yesterday, you may have noticed that a certain Peter Chatterton popped his head up into the speakeasy. He joined the speakeasy weeks ago. It was the funniest thing in the world. Peter and Facebook. Facebook is a very, very new ground for our Peter Chats. And anyway, it's so funny. So it was probably a week or two before things went a bit crazy, but there's about 3 or 4 of us that get the approval requests come through that can approve people into the speakeasy. 4 of us, actually. There's 4 of us. And so anyway, this approval, this application to join the group comes up from Peter Chatterton. And it was our general manager, that managing director, that saw it first, and he went, do we really want to go here? We're like, yeah, go on, why not, it'll be fun. I said, he doesn't know how to use Facebook anyway, but he's determined. I've been talking to him and he's been working on his introduction. So Peter put up an introduction with himself yesterday. He didn't post the photo I wanted him to post. I've actually got that photo. I've got a fantastic photo of him from a number of years ago. It's wonderful. But he's in there. He's popped an introduction about who he is, and I know a number of you have gone over and said hello to his thread. If you want to find that within the threads, because I know everyone's really busy, there's lots going on in the discussion at the moment, just pop Chatterton into the search in the group, and then hopefully his post should pop up. So here's the dog. So don't be afraid to say hello to him, because I'm trying to encourage him to be more active in the group, because what this man does not know about constructing yarn can be written on the back of a matchbook. He is just such a wealth and a resource. I've learned everything from him and Ian Kelly. I mean, I knew nothing comparatively until those men came into my life. So I'm absolutely delighted to have him here. So in the long-winded answer, Wendy, to your question, yes, I will talk about yarn construction, because I think you're right. There are different constructions. And in fact, that's a brilliant topic of conversation for Ethan and I, because he has a huge amount of experience, particularly with wool and spun constructed yarns. And I think between the two of us, that's a really good conversation for us to have. But also, too, I'm working on, now that I have Peter in the speakeasy, my next step is to talk him through getting onto here so we can actually have a video chat together. I think I'm being quite brave, but look, it looks like I'm going to have a little bit more time to do that, so wish me luck on that one. Delene's saying Plan B, Chardonnay in the coffee mug. What makes you think that there hasn't already been Chardonnay in the coffee mug, Delene? There hasn't, but I've only had one coffee today. Big one, but only one. Let's see. Is there anything? Oh, I'd love to see your dog. Oh, Bulldog. Oh, okay, Ruth. Oh, he is right behind me. So Ruth wants to see the dog. And just because he is behind me, I will actually show you the dog. Oh, and I can unravel the... And I'm just going to do this so I can... Oh, camera. There he is. Renly, you want to say hello? Oh, Renly, right here. Oh, hold on. There you go. Renly, look at me. He's guarding now. As you can see, look at the state of my office. Isn't it a mess? Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, you go and check them out. You go and check them out. You go be good. Yeah, there you go. You go be good, dog. Yeah. There you go. Right. That's the dog. Right. Okay. Excellent. Lots of people want Glennis. I'm going to get you Glennis. I am. She was like, oh, no, yeah. She goes, no, I don't have that much knowledge. These people have more knowledge. She's like, yeah, you do, Glennis. I visited your place. I have heard you speak. You have truckloads of knowledge. For people who don't know Glennis, she's Glennis Pode from Marshcraft. I had the great pleasure of visiting Marshcraft at the end of last year, and it's wonderful. And if you're a spinner, you'll know who Marshcraft are, but it's more than just that. It's about expanding your horizon. So I really am wanting to get her on because I just think that there is so much we could talk about. Love the color of McCarty. Yeah, actually, Heather, it's actually a just a t-shirt this morning, a light t-shirt. I've got no woolies on. In fact, thank goodness. The camera, it wasn't even ironed or anything. I just pulled it out of the cupboard. I put this on because I wanted to put my favorite shade of lippy on today. So it's the only reason. And it's hot, but as you can see, it is a color that I'm rather fond of. Yeah. And you may recognize that. There's some Bandit in can 10. There is still some of this available, I think, but it was a limited edition colour that we did for the 10th anniversary of Can last year. I do have a sweater. I've got a project lot of that, which is on my list of things to be doing. Right, okay. I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that that was an extension of what Ethan and I talked about yesterday. Are you right there? Can I keep going? Right, you lie down, please. We were talking yesterday just about sort of some of the things that inspire us and move us on to try different things. And one of the things that I did do over on the Skein Speakeasy is I set up a favorite go-to sort of thread, and a number of you, and that's why I was a bit late this morning as well, because I was actually over having a look at that thread and tweaking it a little bit. What I've gone and done with that thread is I've actually gone and marked it as an announcement. So when you actually jump into the Skein Speakeasy, I think as a guest you can still see discussion and about, and it's sort of like a menu on the left-hand side of the page. If you go to announcements, you'll see you will see the pinned announcement at the top of the page, which is this month's theme, April's theme. But what you will do is you will also then, if you go in to see all announcements, you will see the one that I have in regards to the favorite patterns. So what that is a thread where if you've got a pattern or a designer which is an absolute go-to that you adore, and you just go to again and again and again and again, put those patterns up there. And a number of you have, and I have to admit, so many of them there are favorites of mine. There were a couple actually there that I didn't know, which I'm going to check out, so thank you for that. And then there were other designers there that I forget about. I haven't necessarily knitted a lot from them, but I know other people who have, and I love what they do. Hohiloch Katali would be one of those. I see someone listed one of her patterns there. So that's what that thread is for. Only digital pattern links if you've got them. And we don't obviously want to take photos of a leaflet or a book or anything with a pattern in its entirety. But if you do actually have, so if you do have a book, for example, and I know yesterday I showed you the Knitting Nature book, where the patterns aren't actually available individually, but the book is listed on Ravelry. And once you've got the book listing on Ravelry, from there, you've got links to either go and purchase the book, or you've got the ability to actually see where the book is available in a library near you. You can post that link up as well. So do go and do that. So where was I going with that? That's what we were talking about yesterday in terms of different inspiration patterns. And that sort of morphed for us into, you know, looking at stitch dictionaries and not being afraid about testing out different patterns and swatches and different things like that to actually create things that you want to do. And I talked about, and I showed you a number of stitch dictionaries, but I also know, and I'm quite often at home, and they'll be sitting in the bottom of that shelf where you've got your knitting, or they might be sitting somewhere. Knitting magazines have been around for years, and so many of them, I mean, I used, gosh, you know, particularly through the first part of the 2000s, I was a voracious consumer of knitting magazines. A little less so now, but I have actually gone and moved my consumption mostly into a digital format. So a lot of magazines I will actually get digitally, so I can read them on tablet. But every now and then there is one that I've maintained that I still get in every month in hard copy, and that's because I just enjoy sitting down with the tactile feeling of a magazine and I read it, and it's one that I still get, and also too, it's one that I get in. I've got a local bookseller who has a business in the little shopping centre, which is right where, so we've got the new Skein shop now, sort of across the road and down off on the side street is we're in Onikawa, and it's the Onikawa shops. It's the most fantastic little shopping centre. I'm very, very fond of it. It's got a wonderful little supermarket. It's got a fantastic pharmacy. It's got a brilliant old style bakery. There is actually another local yarn store there, the wonderful Woollen Things, who we have great relationship with. Christine's fantastic. She's in that group. Not that I hardly ever get to go, but she's there, and great for us, because if we don't have something, we can send them to Christine and vice versa, so people don't have to travel all over Napier trying to find things. What else have we got? We've got this wonderful little paper, I think it's Paper Power, this wonderful little bookseller, and he's been there forever, and he's just wonderful. And I have gotten my magazines from him for as long as, well, ever since I've been in Hawke's Bay, and he still gets my stuff in for me. So yes, I know I'm crazy. Yes, I know I'm a little bit fusty and weird, but I love supporting businesses like that, because without businesses like that, I don't think we would have like these wonderful communities. So the magazine I continue to get is this one here, which is just called Knitting. It's a British publication, and I love it for a couple of reasons. I love it because everything in here is written in English as opposed to American English. So it's not that I can't translate, but it's just there's a familiarity there. And also too, a lot of the yarns, and because I spend most of my life working with the team and with yarns that we have, I spend a lot of time working on substitution. So when you're working on yarn substitutions, it's a lot easier for me to substitute effortlessly from British written patterns and yarns translate those into New Zealandese than what it is from American. It's just the Americans have they do have a slightly different system than ours. They do that, so it does make, so for example, what we consider a 4-ply, or they call a fingering, there are ever so slight differences there. It's going to be one of those days. And also too, they have quite different feelings. The designers have quite different feelings and standards around gauge than what we do. That whole gauge conversation, trust me, is another whole video. So for me, magazines are about comfort. So this is where I feel most comfortable. Now, it's not to say that I don't buy American magazines. I still have a Knit Scene subscription, which I get digitally, and I love. And I like Knit Scene because, is it Knit Scene? Yes, it is Knit Scene. Because that's a Vogue offshoot, and I love it because it kind of pushes the design envelope. And for me, I can see where trends are heading. So I do like that one. The other one, oh, if I put it up here, can I put it up here? And of course, the other one that I just mentioned was Vogue. And I know I had a copy of. Have I put it? I don't know where I'm going to put that. I had a copy of Vogue Knitting here just before. It might have fallen off the table. Oh, yes, it has. It's fallen. I won't go and get it. It's fallen off the table. In New Zealand, in case you don't know, Vogue Knitting, if you're wanting to buy it in hard copy and not digital copy, is actually, I think, called designer knitting. The copy I've got there on the floor is the one that I picked up at the airport when I was going to the US recently. Anyway, back to this knitting magazine. The other thing I like about this, they get fantastic contributors. A lot of the contributors they have in here, you'll see a lot of the Rowan contributors in here. You'll see a lot of the contributors from bigger firms in here. And so, you know, the sources that they have are great. They generally also have really good profiles. So there's all of those sorts of things that you can do. So that's one of the things that I love. But one of the things I love more than anything, and I have knitted a number of projects actually out of magazines over the years, but one of the features that these magazines often have is they quite often come with a free little booklet. And this is a good example of that. Ignore the nail polish that's on the front. And another good example of that is one that I have in here, which is in my trusty, one of my trusty Hawksbase wool scourers bags that I talked about previously. This one was actually with Knit Today, so but I actually keep these. They quite often, and this one here is a Learn to Crochet Beginner's Guide book. And I have got that already popped together in a wee bag with a little hook and some nice, smooth, lightly coloured DK yarn. And I've actually taken this with me and loaned this out to, hence the reason this looks like this, has been loaned out to people who are wanting to learn to crochet. And actually, I've been quite surprised. Every time I've given this to somebody and said, here you go, after I've had some time with them, it's actually boomeranged back. I've not expected it back. Every time I've sort of kind of, you know, gone to pay it forward and give the love, and it's been boomeranged back every time, because they've gone on and bought their own equipment and yarn and like, no, you can now pay it forward. So thanks for that. I really appreciate that. Anyway, back to the magazine. Is this sort of session here. I don't think she's in every issue, but her name is Jeanette Sloan. She is incredibly clever. But anyway, what it is it's a bit like a mini stitch dictionary. So each week she will go and she will look at a different sort of concept. And it's a pity I put those swatches in from yesterday, because this one that's pretty much the swatch that I had yesterday. But what she does is she looks at a different swatch. She'll look at how to achieve a certain lace patterning, what that will look like, whether or not you need to, you know, she'll just basically break it down. What in this particular instance, do you SSK, do you knit two together? It's one of those things that if you're sitting around at home, and Ethan and I were talking about it yesterday, I mean, I have been known that if I've got nothing on the needles and none of the works in progress particularly inspire me, or I'll have it where the works in progress are at a point where they actually require quiet time and sobriety, and often those three things I don't have, so they'll stay where they are. But I do want to knit something, and that's where I actually find swatching incredibly comforting. And I mean, I'm not as anal as Ethan is. I mean, I don't know whether you heard yesterday, but Ethan is so organized that he has all of his swatches, then he groups them all together, puts a little ring tag through, and he has ring binders with his, so he has his swatches, they're all labeled, so he actually knows what they are, the yarns, gauge, patterning, and all the rest of it. Yeah, I'm not that organized, if I'm entirely honest with you. But I do, because I do swatch a lot for new product development and yarns that we've got coming through the mill. It's not unheard of for me to be bringing home like a little squished up bunch of yarn or a hand wrap of something, which I will then swatch at home, whether it just be a plain swatch, or then I'll do some, I nearly always do a feather and fan to see what it looks like with a little bit of lace over. Sometimes I'll throw a cable in or what have you. I'll have a play around to see how that yarn performs. and it could be it could be sample spun, it could be something that's coming in off the line, and I will quite often do those, and then those will end up, for me, they end up at work, and I have a board, and they all get clipped together as part of that. So I'm not as organised as Ethan, but there is kind of a method to my madness. I was really excited about this one here. This one is issue, this is from the middle of last year, but I've kept this one because this explores all the feather and fans, including my, well, it's a variation on my absolute, which is this one here, is a variation on my absolute #1 favourite, which I go back to again and again and again. So if you've got these, any form of these, so I mean, this is, knitting does this, I know Knit Today does it, there was, oh gosh, there was a whole heap of them, Let's Knit, Yarn Magazine, Indie Road, which is the new one from Australia. I mean, she isn't quite, Gail's is more sort of inspirational, and it's more multi-crafts than this is, whereas these are straight knitting. But if you've got these lying around, and you haven't picked them up and looked at them for years, go and do it. Dig them out, go and grab it, make a cup of tea this afternoon, dig them out, and actually have a flick through. It's a bit like rewatching an old movie. You know, you sometimes say, oh gosh, I really enjoyed that. I haven't done that for ages. And I think you can do that with these too. Go and dig them out and have a look, and you might find that there is a technique page in there. There could even be a pattern in there that you think, that's fantastic. You know, the pattern may not have spoken to you at the time, but your skill level or the yarns that are available now or whatever it is, things change. And I actually think revisiting all of those make a good idea. Right, let's see what everyone else is saying this morning, just before I move on to my next little thing. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, Sue was also backing up yarn properties, drape, stitch definition, etc. Yeah, that's definitely falls under the construction, Sue, and it does, and also the yarn properties in terms of fibre properties. I touched, Tom touched on it a little bit when we spoke to Tom from Tanwan Court. There are different properties, and they do make quite a bit of difference. Like I know that when Peter and I often sit down and we talk about different yarns and we play around with different things, we do actually look at the properties. We look at the percentages that we put in there. And we do that because there are practical things in terms of how a yarn will actually process through the mill, how it will actually perform out at the other end, and a whole bunch of different things. So, which is why I also want to get Peter on as well, because those sorts of combinations and discussions, especially around fibres like mohair and things like that, he is just a font of knowledge. Oh, here we go. So Gail Ramsey is saying, looking for patterns so I can buy some wool to make a grandson a jumper. He's been asking for a Nordic design, but nothing too complicated. Actually, Gail, while I'm here, I think you should check out Garn Studio. And actually, I'll just jump up and see if they're still around. That was one that I know in the early days before I was big into Ravelry. So Garn Studio is Drops Design is a yarn company that they use this, and I'm just going to do that there. Garn Studio, right, done. And I'm going to pop this in for you. And hold on a second. I'm going to do this. My husband's here and he's got a burning question, so I'm going to mute the mic. So for you lip readers, don't laugh. Right, that was a burn. Is that polenta? He's it looks like he's making homemade pizza dough. Bless his heart. He's well trained. It's quite good. Anyway, where was I? Drop Studio. Don't you love it? Personal space with the family. Right here. Okay, Gail. I've just going to pop the link in. This is a website. It's Scandinavian. So that's why I've gone and suggested it. Believe me, they will have a Nordic design in there of some sort. The other reason I like Drops is that they, I think they either have a mill or they get their own yarns. They have a really wide variety of patterns designed over a wide variety of different yarns. The yarns are beautiful, but obviously getting stuff out of there is not the easiest at the minute. But the patterns are written most often, I think it is changing now, there are more in the round and stuff, but they still have a lot of traditional written flat style patterns, which I know for people, they find that more comfortable. But it will at least give you some ideas, some concepts. It will give you ideas of where you're at with how much yarn you'll need. And for the most part, the patterns used to be free. I'm not sure. I haven't actually dug around in yarn for a while, but there might be some paid ones there now, but they are certainly ones that it's one that I think we always just instantly go to Ravelry and you forget, but I just think Yarn Studio is another really good option. Yes, Barbara here is just saying she found the Onikawa yarn shop last year, great for buttons. Christine has the most outstanding selection of buttons. She really does. She also has, she does quilting there in haberdashery and trims, and she stocks a lot of really beautiful high-end lovely yarns, as well as everyday stuff. She does, like, for example, for acrylic for toys, a lot of people like to use acrylics for toys, and because we don't make acrylics, we send everyone across to her for those, and it's just fantastic. We don't have a large, like a Spotlight in Napier. We've only got one in Hastings, and to be honest with you, I would much rather send everyone, if I don't have it, I'd much rather send them around the corner to Christine than down the road. And you're right, yes, she's wonderful. She is awesome. Marion is just saying Skein Deer on Ravelry. Yes, she, and in fact, I know Manic Maiden, who is one of our speakeasiers, she's done a lot of, I think she's done a lot of Skein Deer patterns and posted them. They look awesome. Oh, Shell wants to know, is Ethan a Virgo? I'll find that out, actually. I don't know. So that's September. My husband's a Virgo. Does that not surprise you? How to know? I know he's got a 30th birthday coming up soon. Let that cat out of the bag. But, you know, I don't know what star sign he is. I haven't thought to ask. Right. Oh, you guys are super chatty this morning. This is wonderful. I love it. Okay. Do you sell knitting needles? Yes, Lynn was asking, do we sell knitting needles? Yes, we do. We have actually had some, our Knit Pros were restocked, and we do actually just have some straights. We don't, look, I will be the first to admit we do not have a extensive range of knitting needles. It's something that we do need to work on. But yes, we do have it. We do have some. Hopefully, well, I know moving forward that will be something that getting those online will be more crucial than ever. We've often had a better range in store of accessories than we have had online, but I know that I'll have to up our game with the accessory selection online, because we just don't know how long it's going to be before the retail store is reopened. So that's it. Right, now, what's the time? Oh, yes. One more thing I'm going to talk about before I buzz off and catch the carnage in the kitchen at home, is the other thing that Ethan and I talked about yesterday is further to those magazines, is like in terms of this, you know, looking at the Stitch Diaries and Stitch Dictionaries. And I think it was Shell, it was Amy yesterday in the chat wanted to know about, I have this book here, which is incredible. Oh, here comes the big dog. Rufus, sit, please, because I don't want you coming in and knocking over the table. Is that Stitch Bible there? And I mentioned in the chat, Amy's question was, and I was showing, she has in this book, as well as all these wonderful things, she's a section on yolks. And what she's gone and done in these yolks is she's got increasing and decreasing. And this is probably a really good page there to show you of what those yolks are. And so Amy's question was, are you able to, when it comes to taking these here, did they actually have these as increases? Because obviously they look like they were all, shaping for hats. And of course your natural assumption is that when you're knitting a beanie or a hat, that you're actually knitting it from a brim up, because most of them are written brim up, right? And this is often done top down, and you don't have to. That's the beautiful thing. If you've got this book, or you can get hold of this book, and you've got that yoke shaping, you can actually knit a beanie top down, and I've gone and grabbed this because this is the one I mentioned in the chat yesterday. So this beanie here, which is called Strawn by Isolde, is actually started at that crown. Ethan talked about actually doing, see, I've gone and done this, how she's written it in terms of casting those stitches on, spreading them across deep ends, and getting started that way. And I have to admit, it's a fart, really fiddly. He suggested actually either doing a little I-cord or a crocheted ring and actually picking your stitches up from that, and that makes much more sense. So I'm going to try that next time. But as you can see, that's where it started, and it's actually got a brim on it, this one. But as you can, I've done it without the brim as well. And if you go to my Ravelry page, and my Ravelry name is Busty, so I'm easy to find. Recently, I have got a project there which I finished as a gift, which is this without the brim, without the peak. And as you can see, this is cable, but it's like that yoke that it sort of fans out. So if you are wanting to do sort of beanies and actually have a play around with something like this, yeah, just do it from the top down. It's sort of quite straightforward to be done. I'm actually going to save the other stuff I've got for another day, so then I've got more content on days that I don't have. Tomorrow, fingers crossed, I tentatively penciled Suzanne Bryan in for tomorrow if I can get her. If I can't tomorrow, I will try the following day. Suzanne is an absolute techniques mistress from California, and I'm super keen to talk to Suzanne. And then I've also got later in the week a real treat for you. At this stage, it's looking like it's going to be Thursday, actually, or even Friday, our time. It's we just need to again we've just got to harden that time up a little bit. But I'm going to be having Rachel Heron with us. Rachel is an author, and she wrote the Cypress Hollow series. And these came out in here in New Zealand, they were called Eliza's Gift, but I think it was called How to Knit a Love Song, or How to Knit a Love Story was the American title. So if you've read those books, and many of you have, because they were first published in 2010, and there's actually been a full series of these, the first of which was Eliza's Gift, New Zealand, Australia title. And I'm going to have a chat to her because Rachel is a dual citizen, American New Zealander. She is a knitter, and that series, we're just going to talk about stuff like that. I caught up with Rachel recently in California, and I'm super. Well, our original plans to catch up later in the year have all gone out the window, so I thought I'd catch up with her now. So we're going to have her. I've got to try and get Peter on. Glennis, you're on my hit list, and I need to go because these dogs are driving me crazy. So have a great day. I will catch you guys tomorrow. One way or another, I'll be here. And with any luck, fingers crossed for 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Take care. Bye.